G'day legends, it's Mark here from North Oz, and in today's video we're going to be doing 4 mods and fixes to the Budget Patrol for under $100 for each mod and fix. Stick around, it's going to be a good one. So for those of you who've been following along with the Patrol build, you'll know that the steering wheel on here is atrocious. It's got chunks taken out of it and it leaves behind residue on your hands, so it doesn't make it a very pleasant driving experience. So to try and solve that, I had 2 options. One is to buy a new OEM steering wheel, which is about $600 plus. That's just to get the OEM one reupholstered, so not even a brand new one from the factory. Brand new ones from the factory will run you heaps. And aftermarket steering wheel is about $550. Now I've got this one for $37.99. And this is not a steering wheel, but is a steering wheel cover, and it matches the interior here. So I'm going to show you what the current steering wheel looks like, and I'll hopefully be able to fit this up. And it will cost me about 10% of the price of an aftermarket steering wheel, and it still looks pretty good. So hopefully I can actually get this thing on, because these types of wheel covers are notorious for being difficult to put on, but I think it's going to make the interior look a lot nicer. This is what the current steering wheel looks like. As you can see, it's got none of the original finish on it, and it's also been worn down to the metal, so not fantastic, and it doesn't make for a very pleasant driving experience. So let's see if we can get this brand new steering wheel cover on and see how it looks. Now, after the crushing disappointment of not being able to fit that 380mm steering wheel cover, it was so nice. It was tan, it was fake leather as well, but it looked fantastic, and it just wasn't going to fit, unfortunately. So I went back and I found this one, which is a 400mm steering wheel cover, which fits a lot better. It's a little bit loose at times, but for now it does the job. And I ended up getting like 20 bucks back, even after purchasing this one. This was like $14 or something, so pretty cheap. But if you guys have a Patrol out there, or any really older 4-wheel drives as well, trying to get some of the steering wheel cover and the steering wheel dimensions can be quite a difficult thing. So we've got this one on now. It works well. I don't get rubbish all over my hands every time I drive the car now, which is fantastic. Does the job, and that's all we needed out of it. So this one was only a bit under $15. I'm pretty happy with it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love my music in the car. Playing podcasts as well is one of my favorite things to do, especially on long trips. Just to break it up a little bit, I like to rotate between music and podcasts. At the moment, in the passenger door, it has a blown speaker, and it is so distracting trying to hear what's coming from the one working speaker in the front here. So I can't really hear what is happening on music, phone calls, or podcast. So I am going to be taking off these door cards and seeing what speakers we have in there. I have had the door cards off before, and I think that they are a Kenwood speaker, so not a bad speaker at all, but they've probably been in there for a very long time. So we are going to take them out and put some new ones in there, see what size they are, and then go out, buy some new ones and chuck them in there. And again, like, this mod can be anywhere from $60. I like to go with coaxial speakers, so they can be anywhere from $60 all the way up to $300, and I'm just going for a middle of the road one, probably around $120, $130. Stick with your reputable brands, Sony, Kicker, all those. You can't really go wrong with those. So yeah, we're going to get these door cards off and see what speakers we have in there, and hopefully we'll be able to replace them and actually be able to hear the music. Now let me show you a before clip so you can actually hear what the noise is like, and then hopefully you'll be able to hear what the after is like as well. I don't know how well the microphone is going to pick it up, but we'll do our best. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and a giddy up.
have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shaking like Rose Rap. No break, street go, go.
Now, in the last few days, that speaker has actually gotten so bad that it's not even working now. So I hope it's not a wiring issue, but yeah, we'll do some investigations and see. I've got some new speakers anyway, just to see exactly what's going on, and at least replace them so we have that peace of mind. And also, they're pretty good speakers that I'm going to be chucking in there too. So I don't think we'll be disappointed at all. So it's always a bit of a roll of the dice when you kind of unveil the previous owner's work, but I must say in this case they've done actually a pretty good job. They've crimped the positive and negative wires to the factory wires, and then they've used again just those kind of crimp sort of connectors just to get the power to the speaker. So they've actually done a pretty good job of it, so I don't think I need to do too much. I might even just redo those crimps just to make sure that they're on there pretty solid. But yeah, overall, they haven't done a terrible job, so it might save me a little bit of time here. But in the past, what I've done is I've just ended up just chopping the wires and just solder them to the speaker itself, and that does just as good of a job. But yeah, if you can use things like crimps, that makes it easier for installing and uninstalling. I'll give you guys a couple of tips as well. So if you guys have a look on the back of the speakers, it'll tell you what the impedance is, and it'll tell you what the RMS is and the peak power. So those are three values that are quite important. Now, I don't know all of these values because I asked my dad, who's in music. He owns Fernandez Music Centre here in Cairns. So he knows all about this stuff. So my very basic understanding of it is that the peak power is important, but what's more important is the RMS. Kind of like continuous power is my understanding. So the higher the RMS, the more power they can get to it continuously. That's my basic understanding of it. And you want to have more RMS. It's similar to inverters in the way that like the constant voltage and the constant wattage works for inverters. Having like a peak wattage doesn't really help that much. It's more like how much can it produce consistently. So that's my basic understanding of electronics in a nutshell. And also too, you want to have a look, and this is very important, and that's for the impedance. Now, the impedance on these speakers is 4 ohms, and it's got that funny little Greek symbol. And what that basically means is it's basically like kind of compatibility, again, is my understanding. The head unit that I put in this Patrol puts out 4 times 4 ohms. So you need to have 4 speakers at 4 ohms of impedance. Now, if you get one that's less than that, I don't know what happens, but it's not ideal. I believe you can get speakers that have a higher impedance, so like a 4 point something or other, or a 5 point something or other. That's mine, but you can't have less. That's what I am to understand. That's my understanding of it. So I went and got 4 ohm speakers. I was actually looking at 3.3 ohm speakers that looked really good for the price, but I ended up going with speakers that have the same impedance as the ones recommended by the head unit. So yeah, that's kind of my little rundown on speakers. And if you're getting kind of like rubbish sound from your speakers, maybe not great performance from them, that could be why. And having a look at those tech specs can help you out with that. So I'm going to swap these ones out. I'll let you guys know how I go about that once I've figured out what I'm going to do with them. So I'll go ahead and do that now. I'll give you guys a quick update in a minute. Now, lucky for me, it was just a matter of unclipping those old crimps and just putting them onto the new speakers, which, again, I was very thankful for. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it gets power and stuff like that. I'll turn it on in a second and just do a quick test just to make before I put everything away, of course. And again, these speakers just matched up perfectly to the stock surrounds. So I'm not sure if this is a stock surround here, but if yours looks like this and you're a patrol owner, then it will work with your car. So that's kind of cool. Now, there are a couple of things that I really like about this speaker. There's some foam on the outside that will help with vibration. So there's nothing worse than having vibration rattling around, especially in cheaper speakers. You know, you can especially have a lot of where kind of the outside of this cone bit meets the plastic and the metal can make quite a bit of noise. And it's also called a four-way speaker, which I haven't seen before. And basically what it is it's kind of got low, mid, tweeter, and super tweeter. So yeah, something again a little bit different that I'm not really, I haven't had much experience with. So hopefully it sounds good. We'll find out very shortly. And yeah, I'm just going to test it now and see if we can get some power to this. And if it doesn't work, then I'll just solder it on. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do now. See how it sounds a little bit.
New car, fast lane, with the booyah, that's a flex. Not a human, I am from another planet. I'ma teleport my vanish. I'ma wake up, do damage. Draw number 7 is Bordeaux. Nice house, Prada. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I fit it up.
Now, while that's a pretty terrible song, it does have the bass in it, which is what I'm looking for when I'm testing out the speakers, just to see if there's any rattles in that. And it sounds quite clear, which is pretty good. I would say pretty equivalent to the old Kenwood that was in there, but hopefully we can, I'm not sure if it's an electrical problem maybe that's in the other side, but yeah, at least we know we get some brand new speakers in there at least. So I'll finish buttoning all this up, and then I'll give you guys a quick update on the other side and see what it is that we have going on over there. Now, if you're wondering how I took all this off, it's pretty straightforward. I've made a video actually on how to do the side view mirrors on this vehicle. So if you want to know how to take off all this door card and stuff, I can show you guys how to do that over on that video, which I'll leave a link to up there, and I'll leave it as a link at the end of this video as well. So yeah, I'll button all this up now, put it all away, tidy it up nicely, and then I'll give you guys a quick update and see what's going on the other side. And yeah, hopefully we can get it all fixed up, and we'll have a nice sound system. Let's do it. So I just got done taking the door card off the passenger side, and unfortunately it looks like that a wire has come free from the crimping. It looks like that one side actually wasn't crimped at all. And then even then I have a look over here to the wire it's supposed to connect up to, and it looks like it's not even exposed enough to attach onto this speaker and to attach onto the crimp in order to be clamped down. So as you guys can see there, hopefully I'll get out of the way a little bit, hopefully that can show, but it hasn't even been squashed down to connect the wire up to the speaker. So what I'll probably end up doing is I'll just solder the wire on and then probably put a new crimp on there, I'd say. Try to make it a little bit cleaner and make it work a little bit better. And I don't know what they've done, but they've got an additional crimp in there so it's basically got like 2 crimps to go onto the one connector. I'll show you what I mean by that. I'll overlay that over my talking here. Very strange. Anyway, so what I'll do is I'll get the new speaker in there, I'll wire it up properly, and yeah, and we should be all good. So I just got done installing the speaker into the passenger side, and I pretty much installed it how you would at home if you, didn't have an aftermarket speaker already installed in there, like I did on the first one. So on the driver's side, it was all ready to go, so you need to plug it in. But on this side, half the plugs were torn up, and I don't know what they were doing with some of those plugs. So what I ended up doing was just using these. crimp, I don't know what they're called, crimp plugs, crimp whatever sockets, I don't know. If you look it up, it'll show up. It's basically a male and female connector, and they just slot straight into one another, which is pretty cool. And they hold up pretty good. They hold in there pretty firm, and it's kind of good as opposed to soldering, because you're able to, if you want to swap it out later on for a different model, or you're having some troubles with connections and things like that, it means you can take out the speaker quite easily. So a little top tip for you, I like to use these sorts of connectors for most of what I do now. So I don't actually solder much these days. So there you go, little top tip for you. I like to use these crimps instead of the other method, which is a lot more permanent, but these kind of allow for a bit of chopping and changing if you change your mind here and there. So another $100 mod that I have planned are these flares. So these are the two missing flares I needed for the rear passenger doors. So these were $100 for two, so I got them off a bloke off Facebook Marketplace. So I went on a bit of a marketplace mission and got these. This one's in really good shape. As you can see, it looks almost brand new. These have come off secondhand vehicles, the guy told me, and this one here is definitely secondhand. It's not in terrific shape, but my brother, when I was showing him these, he did show me, and he pointed out the fact that there is a little bit of plasti dip there. So yeah, I thought these were in worse shape than they are, but I think they're actually in pretty good condition once I get all that plasti dip off, and I've had a good chance to give them a bit of a clean. As you can see, disappointingly, there is a clip here on this one, but there is no clip on this one. That's to go through that's like the one place that these guards actually bolt into, these flares actually bolt into, which is the door. So bolt straight through the door and into this clip here. And it's also missing a couple of clips. Not so much on this one. This one is missing a whole clip section, but this one is missing not only a bolt clip, but also a plastic clip too, and also on the car. So these are like kind of the male section, and the actual female part of the clip, which goes in the door, they're pretty much missing almost all around. There's like kind of half of them are off, half of them aren't. So I might just buy brand new clips for these, get them off one of the online aftermarket stores, see if I can get some good clips for them. So the plan is to give these a little bit of a wash up, a little bit of a clean up, see if I can get some of that plasti dip off as well. And I might also chuck a little bit of glue on these clips, because these are about to be ripped off as well. So I might see if there's a way to maybe just hold that clip down a little bit more firm, and I'll jump online and grab a clip set for these. So by the time we get to the end of the video, I probably won't show you the install of these. I'll probably just show you what they look like at the very end. And yeah, so just to keep you updated, another $100, another great mod. Keen to see how it looks on the vehicle. So here you can see the mudguard of the driver's side has been fitted. It doesn't fit too bad. I mean, the fitting kit I only needed one side in the end, so it was only $25 to fit up both of them, because I was able to piece together the other side. And yeah, it doesn't look too bad. It looks about how it should for the age of the car anyway. And I was able to fix up as well the bottom part of this, so now that's not rattling around and wobbling around. So that's the driver's side. Probably could have done with a rubber kit or something here, but there's always something to be done. But for mine, that looks pretty good. And I will be looking to replace these little trim pieces as well. But overall, from a distance, looks pretty good. And now going over to the passenger side, this one's a little bit nicer than the other one. You can see it's got a little bit more of a shine to it. But again, same thing, no rubber on there. But it, turned out pretty good. And the mounting for it as well just goes through that little hole in the door there, which is pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy there. Don't need to make a whole big video on how to do that. It's pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, looks pretty good in the end. And it definitely helps complete the look of the car. So the next fix that I really wanted to do on this Patrol is fixing up the tint that was on here. I'm not going to put another tint on here because I think that there is actually the genuine Nissan one, or some sort of UV protection, something on here anyway. You can see the old tint in places like this back window here. You can see it chipping off there. But for whatever reason, there was a cheap aftermarket tint that was put on here, and it would have cost me probably about $100 or $200 to get someone to take it off for me. But instead, I've gone ahead and taken it off myself. off. It took me about 45 minutes to get it off, to be honest, because it was just breaking apart all over the place. But as you can see, I can actually see outside of the window now, which is a major win. Before, and I'll put some footage of me trying to look out of the window with the bubbly tint and also rain with the terrible side view mirrors I had at the time. It was just a mess. It was a combination for a crash, really, for being able to not see anything outside of the window. So that is a much safer window now to look out of, and didn't cost me any money at all, just a little bit of time. So free fixes are good fixes. So that concludes today's video on 4 mods and fixes for $100 each mod and fix. And it was exactly that. It was a bit of modding and it was a little bit of fixing. Getting the new speakers in have been fantastic. I've been using them for a couple of weeks now, and it is amazing to drive around and actually be able to hear speakers and podcasts. It makes it's a lot better than hearing this old thing rattling around on the road. So I'm very happy with the speakers. The tint as well, I can actually see out of my window now. I don't need to roll it down just to be able to see out of it, which is great. And as I've shown you as well, the rain, made it impossible to look outside of that window. So trying to have the window down and it also raining is not ideal. So that is a lot safer as well. So I'm pretty stoked with how all the flares and that have turned out as well. I can't complain. The car is coming together very nicely, and I hope that this gives you guys a little bit of inspiration maybe to work on your cars, whether they're older or newer, and yeah, just try to modify it and change a few little things around that might make your enjoyment of the vehicle just a little bit more without having to spend a whole pile of money. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you very shortly in another video. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that because you won't want to miss them. I'll see you then.